This is part 3 of Angels Unaware, Angels Everywhere. And I just got a real fast story I'd like to tell you. Years ago, we were out to Christian retreat, probably 25 years ago, and R.W. Schambach was out there. And he preached and preached, and 10 o'clock come along. In the meantime, Christian retreat is packed. And they had an overflow area in the cafeteria. It was packed. So 10 o'clock come around, and he said, would I like to pray for any healing? And man, the whole church stood up, and he was overwhelmed. And something I'll never forget. So he couldn't sit there and pray for a couple thousand people 10 o'clock at night. So do you know what he did? He said, everybody sit down. And then he said, anybody that God has ever touched or healed, I want you to come up here and line up across the stage here at Christian Retreat. Well, God had touched me at some time in my life and healed me. So I was up there. So I stood there in this across the whole church. I had next to me, I had this guy with he was over here. This guy had a 3-piece suit on with hanky hanging out, everything. I mean, he was slick. And then on the other side of me, I had a little black lady. She had looked like had a cotton dress on that just like cut a hole in it and folded over and stitched down the side. And she had no makeup on, just really worn looking. So in the meantime, I'm there. I just look average, whatever that is. But I had a fancy guy, and I had a gal here that looked like really worn out. This guy dressed up. So anyway, so Schambach says, okay, I want all of you to come forward and just go to one of these people here, and God will use them to heal you. So I'm sitting there, and I thought, oh, this is cool. And then people kept coming. Guess where they went? They went to the little black lady, little skinny gal, most probably in her 30s, washed out, little worn cotton dress. They lined up behind her. So here's the guy with a 3-piece suit on, here's average Bob, and here's this little lady, washed out. They all lined up to her. Many times, so why'd they go to her? Why'd they go to her? But finally, there's so many people that came to me, and I prayed for them to be healed. And even the guy next to me was all slicked up in his 3-piece suit, hanky hanging out. Then finally, they lined up with him too and me. But this guy had a long line. So I'll never forget that. So sometimes it's not what you look like. It's wonder why they went to her. She looked very mild and meek. I think I looked over one time, she just kept doing this. You know, so she was looking at Dad saying, I'm going to this girl. That's who I want to pray for me. So that was pretty interesting. So anyway, so that night ran at about 1 o'clock in the morning. And so anyway, Nancy and I and all our kids, we took off in Route 64, coming into town. I ran out of gas. I'll never forget, I ran out of gas out around I-75. I ran out of gas. I'm sitting there 1 o'clock at night. Where do I get gas? I don't know what to do. I'm desperate, man. I'm desperate. 1 o'clock at night. And so I started doing this, hitchhiking. People pass by. And then finally, I'm getting desperate, man. You got your wife and kids at 1 o'clock in the morning out on Route 64 out in the country. So here comes another set of lights. Says, I got to do something. I kind of really started doing this. And here this big limo pulled up. And they opened the back door, and you know who was in the limousine? R.W. Schambach and Gerald Durstein. How can we help you? I thought, oh my God, God sent the generals to help us. He sent the generals. I felt so honored. And they said, how can we help you? I said, man, I run out of gas. Well, jump in here. And they got at my gas can, went out and got the gas, and they brought me back in the big old limo. I'll never forget that as long as I live. So God uses generals to save old Bob that night. So I'll never forget that as long as I live. So I just want to tell you aware, angels are out there. What about you? Can you think of a time in your life that an angel saved you? God bless you guys.